Hello, seniors! I'm glad that you are able to view this instructional video and that proves you are interested to learn research. May this video provide you with memorable learning as you go through Practical Research 1. Happy learning! Our lesson today is the research problem and the research title. At all ages, we face different struggles. Nobody is exempted. That is, problems which may be represented as a challenge or a difficulty can be possibly encountered by anyone. Now, as a senior high school student, it is undeniable that you are encountering problems as well. Perhaps you may also relate yourself with the situations of those whose problem may arise from issues and concerns regarding time management, study habit, motivation, and the like, which later can affect academic performance. As a starting student researcher, you must remember the situation that brings you a feeling of discomfort or something that you find as challenging and difficult can be considered as a source of problem. Such a problem may later help you to design your study, which primary aims are to investigate, explore, and understand the phenomenon. The findings then can be used to suggest what potential solutions may address the problem. This module is designed and written to help you in determining a potential problem and its possible research title and conducting a research project relevant to your daily encounters and observations. At the end of this module, you are expected to design a research project related to daily life and write a research title. In starting with the research project, the researcher must have a clear problem in mind. Basically, a research problem refers to a statement that promptly suggests for conducting an investigation. Moreover, a research problem to be designed must deal with some concerns in a particular field that may need an improvement or solution. The researcher must also observe gaps in existing scholarly literature, theories, and practices in order to come up with a good and relevant research problem. This designed problem then will serve as a guide to know what kind of research study will be most suitable to address the perceived concern. There is a need for a socially relevant problem when the researcher will attempt to conduct a study. Hence, it is said that identifying and designing a research problem is quite a challenging task. Familiarity with the potential sources, meanwhile, may help the researcher to come up with a good research problem. As cited from Sacred Heart University Library 2020, 4 varied sources can be considered. These are as follows. 1. Theory. Existing social philosophies and generalizations which the researcher is familiar with may be of a great help to design a research problem. The researcher may observe if there is a gap between theory and practice. Difference between what is said by the elders and what the youngsters see and observe may be a potential source of a problem. 2. Practitioners. Consultation with the people who have direct experiences in a field of interest may provide the researcher an idea of what relevant problem he or she may investigate. Practitioners such as teachers, social workers, healthcare providers, etc. are considered to be a good source of problem since they are directly experiencing difficulties and challenges which are needed to be addressed. Number 3, personal experience. Daily experiences can provide the researcher an idea of what problem that needs a solution. Observation on what is happening in the community may allow him or her to see the common concerns of people or institutions which may be subjected for investigation. 4. Relevant literature. An extensive and thorough review of literature and studies relevant to the problem interest of the researcher may enable him or her to come up with a potential study. Through reviewing other available researches, the researcher may be able to determine gaps in knowledge and to subject them for replication. Thus, a good research problem will be ensured. As cited from the book of Cristobal and Cristobal in 2017, there are criteria which should be considered by the researcher in order to arrive at a good research problem. Here, they adopted the proposed criteria of Barrientos-Tan in 1997 from the book entitled A Research Guide in Nursing Education. These are further subdivided into external and internal criteria. For the external criteria, first is novelty. The research problem must carry newness. With this, its practical value would be easily perceived. Second, availability of subjects. A research problem, when subjected to further investigation, requires data from the target subjects. Hence, the researcher must ensure that there will be available participants who are capable of providing data needed for the study. Third, support of the academic community. The academic community, which consists of administrators, teachers, staff, students, and parents, should be considered by the researcher in what particular problem will be investigated. Each member plays a vital role in the conduct of the study. Hence, the research problem should be clearly perceived as beneficial once it is subjected for investigation. In addition, securing permission among the said members must be done before conducting the actual data collection procedure. Fourth, availability and adequacy of facilities and equipment. Necessary common devices such as computers and telephones which will be used in undertaking a study should be considered. Likewise, other needed materials required by the research problem should be checked if they are available and sufficient. And ethical considerations as the fifth external criterion. A research problem which is subjected to study must not pose any unethical demands, most especially on the part of the research participants. For the internal criteria, qualifications of the researcher is the first one. This pertains to the expertise of the researcher to the problem. It is important to the researcher that he or she has enough knowledge and training when the research problem is subjected to further investigation so as to ensure the success of the undertaking. Second is the motivation and interest of the researcher. The research problem which is in the interest of the researcher may give him or her satisfaction and enjoyment. Hence, completion of the research task will be efficiently attained. Third, time factor. A research problem, when is subjected to study, should suggest to be time efficient. With this, the undertaking will be possibly accomplished in a given time frame. Cost and returns. It is also important that the researcher should consider a research problem which suggests to be cost efficient. When it is subjected to study, it must not be a sort of an expensive undertaking. Next, hazards and handicaps. This means that a research problem should not put the researcher in danger. The proposed study should be safe not only to the participants but more to the researcher himself or herself. Physical and mental health of the researcher must always be considered. Once the researcher has already had a problem that will be subjected for study, he or she may now begin formulating a good research title that will best represent the problem and the study itself in general. As cited from Sacred Heart University Library in 2020, a research title should help the readers to see the main idea as well as the summary of the whole study. Further, it usually contains fewest possible words that can bring understanding of the content and the purpose of the study among the readers. As commonly observed, a research title is the first one to be read before proceeding to the other parts of the research paper. Hence, it is really important to know for the researcher what makes a research title an effective one in order to capture the interest of the readers towards the problem to be investigated. Here are some of the characteristics of a research title that the researcher should put into considerations. First, it should be limited only to substantive words with high consideration to the key variables such as the phenomenon under investigation, the participants or the respondents, and the setting or the locale of the study. 2. It should use words that can create a positive impression among the readers. Avoid using abbreviations as well as some word constructions such as method, result, and investigation. 3. It should be in the form of a phrase with correct use of capitalization. That is, the first letter appeared in the title as well as the first letter of each noun word should be capitalized. Fourth, it should be concise by adequately implying the participants and the coverage of the study. In addition, a researcher may also put a subtitle which is commonly employed in social science research papers. This subtitle may be done to state the scope, context, and theory under investigation, and to provide a substantive and appealing literary title. Similar with all other parts of a research paper, the title must be carefully formulated. Other existing research titles may serve as basis, especially for beginning researchers. Here are the examples of title in qualitative research. First example, The Need to Transcend, a phenomenological study on the lived experiences of millennial teachers by Lacdo O et al. 2018. The Educated Citizen, Cultural and Gender Capital in the Schooling of Ata's Children and the Municipality of Haniway by Moralista and De la Riarte in 2014. Third, This Too Shall Pass, a grounded theory study of Filipino cancer survivorship by De Guzman et al. In 2012. Local Study Centers, Transforming History, Culture, and Heritage in the Philippines by Perez and Templanza in 2012. President Rodrigo Roa Duterte's Political Speeches, A Critical Discourse Analysis by Remorosa in 2018. That's the end of our lesson today. It's been my pleasure teaching you one of the amazing topics of Practical Research 1, and I really hope you learned something from this video lesson. Thank you and may God bless us all. Let's meet again in our next video.